Hello, Dominica Harrison. You are the author of the short film Chado. You're based in England. Before we begin, I will just read the synopsis so our audience knows a little bit more about your film. Excuse my English. During a long hot summer in the forest, child is forced to grow up. First, her dog becomes ill. Then, out of the blue, her mother returns with a new lover. Child's world is turned upside down. A coming-of-age story set in an enchanted Russian wilderness. My first question is about the relation of your film, the content of your film with Russia and Russian culture. I did a quick search and that Chado actually means child.
Yep.
In Russian. The film is set in an enchanted Russian wilderness. So what is the Russian content of your film? Why this relation with Russia? Is it like a Russian tale or an adaptation of a Russian tale?
Well, it's an interesting question. It's an adaptation of my Russian, I guess, my view on Russia after I've been away from it for 7 years, because I grew up in Moscow. So I've been born there and I grew up there. Actually the film, the visuals and the location in the film is based on a real house that I used to go when I was a kid. That was owned by my grandparents, and my parents used to send me there every summer because they didn't want to deal with me being in the city during summer when I didn't have school. So they just send me away. That's a very kind of bright memory for me, and it's actually quite common for I guess Slavic kids to have these kind of houses. It's usually it's not very fancy. It's just a small house somewhere in the countryside. They usually kind of cluster in little villages. Mine was right next to the forest, so I spent a lot of my time there kind of roaming. So kind of thinking back into my childhood, that's one of the brightest memories, and that was the base to start thinking about the location and the mood for the film.
And what about the characters? They're all women. The child is a young girl, and the two adults are two women. They are a couple. So, did you want to address feminism and LGBTQ issues in your film, or is it like not your intention at all? But this is, for us spectators, it's obvious. Okay, this is two women. They're a couple. The young child is a woman. So that is part of the strong emotion in your film.
Yeah, that's true. Originally, there was actually many more characters in the film that I had to kind of get rid of because I felt that they were not really essential for the storytelling. And while I was sort of working on the story and thinking the characters through, I felt that the three strongest voices were the ones that were left in the film, these three women. And when I was kind of left with them, I started questioning, is this film about feminism? Is this film about LGBT? But really, I can't really say that this was my original intention because these characters came very naturally to me, and they came because I thought that they were the characters to tell the story, rather than because I was trying to make a statement for in these kind of areas. But it's actually it's a very interesting aspect, I think, because I had another Q&A with the LGBT festival in Birmingham, and they were kind of asking, do I consider my film being a LGBT statement in a way? But I don't really. For me, the relationship between women is something that comes without any extra thought in a way. So it's something that comes very naturally. And I wanted the focus of the film to be not necessarily the parts that they are two women, but they're two human beings, and they just have this relationship. So these three characters end up being in the same space together. They have to deal with each other's emotions. So it's a little bit it's quite an interesting thing for me to think about back as well, because it ended up maybe being something not what I expected to be in the beginning.
When did you finish the film? Has it been running a lot in festival until now, or?
It's picking up now. Yeah, I finished it in just in the beginning of the year, so January this year, and then it has been a little bit of a it's just been chaos. So now the festivals were running.
Yeah.
So now it's been in quite a few online festivals. Didn't have any real screenings, unfortunately, yet. I was meant to have one in London, but it's been cancelled for London International Film Festival, because of the lockdown. But yeah, it's been picking up now.
I wanted to ask you to maybe you can say a few words about the style, which is really beautiful. The film is delicate, is magic. It's magical, but there is also a very, very interesting contrast between the action and the parts where I think that those are the dreams of the young girl, and it's becoming then blurry and etchy. Can you comment on that? How did you work this aesthetic, which makes the film really, really, really good looking and beautiful?
Thank you so much. So I am also a printmaker, and I use a lot of printmaking techniques in my work. This particular film was done with a combination of risography prints and 2D animation. So these sequences that you're talking about, the dream sequences, were actually entirely printed as risographs first, and then scanned. So actually, sorry.
Wow. This is great.
One of the original.
This is great with online discussions. We are in the at the artist place.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So these are actually the original risograph prints. So you can see them close by. So the size of the frame itself is quite small. So it's mainly because I had to fit quite a lot on the page. I've ended up with about that box of prints, about 300 prints maybe for these sequences, and this kind of texture and misalignment that creates this very kind of chaotic nightmarish effect comes from when the lines, different color lines, don't necessarily align. So you can see like here, so it becomes kind of this strange 3D effect, which I really love.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
And actually I came to risography after trying screen printing. So my other film Illusions is entirely screen printed, and you can screen print is a lot more slower, a lot more time consuming and money consuming as well, but it's a lot more malleable. So but risograph, because I had to be a lot more kind of energy consuming with this project, it was sort of less opportunities to mess up, I would say. So I chose risography as a good sort of analog to screen printing. And also one of the things that I absolutely love about combining these two together is that there's always so many mistakes and misalignments, but I really like this kind of element of accident in work, and animation is so rare when you can allow yourself to have accidents and then use them as well. So that's in a brief. I can talk about it for a long time. So.
my last question would be, are there women animators which you admire, which inspired you?
Mm-hmm. Good question. Women animators. Why particularly women?
I don't know. Maybe because there are animators which are in which the feminist content are really important. Ruth Hayes, for instance, Michel Cournoyer. Maybe my questions makes no sense. Let's forget about the gender if you want. But are there animators which inspired you?
Yeah. I mean, women, of course. Actually, in terms of women, I guess I have more of a reference to my contemporaries. So people who are working now and who are kind of similar age to me. So or maybe like older than me. For example, I work a lot with this animator and artist Kim Noshe, who we've collaborated with on other projects, and she has a beautiful, I don't know if you know her, but she has a very beautiful experimental style and absolutely free, and it's been a pleasure working with her. We did a few animation works together, more kind of contemporaries who are like recent graduates or who have been working in industry in London and around Europe, like Alan Nunu, for example, or Hannah Barriston. But generally, I think I guess I was very largely inspired by Soviet animation when I was growing up, and like Norstein, Ivanov, like all the classics.
All the classics, yeah.
Yes, yeah, but I haven't really thought about it when I was watching these cartoons. So it's quite interesting for me to kind of now see their influence in my work. So because when I'm making the films, I don't really think about it, but when I'm watching it back, in the way how I make the story and how I structure the story, and kind of some of the sort of subtle, I guess somehow it comes into my mind that those were the big ones for me, especially Norstein, I guess, because I actually met him when I was really young and didn't even know that I was going to do animation before. So
Actually, yeah, actually, Narstein makes sense. Yes, yes, you're right. Well, thank you so much, Dominica, for taking the time to talk to us. We wish to be able to welcome you in Montreal in the near future. Best of luck.
Thank
Stay
you so
safe.
much. Thank you for having me.
Okay, goodbye.
Goodbye. Bye.
Mm-hmm.